Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. I've got a few thoughts on the Cheez-it Bowl from last night that I'll get to coming up here in just a couple of minutes. But first, I wanted to quickly discuss the new college basketball AP poll, which came out this past Monday, as it does come out each and every Monday throughout the season in college basketball. If you have any thoughts on who you think is the best team right now, please feel free to let me know. Right now, Baylor is number one, Duke sits at number two, Purdue number three, Gonzaga and UCLA round out the top five. And then we have Kansas, USC, Iowa State, Arizona, and Michigan State rounding out the top 10. Now, I will say, around this time last year, I told a friend of mine from work that the two best teams in the country was clearly Baylor and Gonzaga. And, of course, he didn't want to admit it because he's a Gonzaga hater for whatever reason. And I told him those were the two best teams in the country. And sure enough, they played for the national championship. So they were the two best teams in the country. But this year, I'm honestly not sure. Every team has strengths, but every team also has weaknesses. So as of right now, I'm really not sure who I think is the best team in the country. I think Kansas is really good, but I'm not sure they're the best team. And I think Michigan State is obviously very well coached because of Tom Izzo, but I'm not sure that they're actually a top 10 team. It's just Tom Izzo always brings out the best in them. Baylor may be the best team in the country for the second straight year. And I will say this, that UCLA, USC, and Arizona are three phenomenal basketball teams, and it wouldn't surprise me if one or two, if not all three of those teams made the Final Four, depending on how the brackets set out. But the rest of the Pac-12 is hideous. But we see that in all collegiate sports. Usually in college basketball, the SEC is Kentucky and everybody else sucks. The SEC in football is usually Alabama and Georgia and everybody else sucks. And usually in college baseball, the ACC is really good, the SEC is really good, and everybody else really sucks. So this year in college basketball, UCLA and USC and Arizona are all three really good, but the rest of the Pac-12 is absolutely atrocious. So again, any thoughts on who you think might be the best team as we sit right here on December 30th, getting ready to head into the new year? And now I've got a few thoughts on the Cheez-it Bowl from last night. Clemson won by the score of 20-13. It's their 11th consecutive 10-win season. Only the third team of all time in the history of college football to have 11 consecutive 10-win seasons. Alabama is currently still in the middle of theirs. They've got 14 in a row going on, and Florida State also won 10 games, 14 straight years from 1987 up until the year 2000. DJ was 21 for 32 for 187 yards, so that's around 64%, which is actually better than what he did in the regular season. Will Shipley led the team in rushing yards, 18 carries for 61 yards. And for whatever reason, DJ still just does not look comfortable. It could be several factors. There was actually a time this year when Clemson played 3 straight games with 7 scholarship wide receivers out with injuries. So it could just be that he doesn't really feel comfortable because he doesn't really have any great mojo with any of the receivers, because all the ones that have been there for a while were hurt, and the freshmen he really didn't have a lot of practice time with. It could be that, and it could be he just doesn't trust the offensive line, and it could be that PCL in his knee makes it where he just does not like to stand still, because he'll go back there and hold the ball for a long time, but it's very rare that he ever stands still. He moves the entire time. He just does not look comfortable for whatever reason. I don't know the reason, but he does not look comfortable at all. But Iowa State had 270 total yards of offense. During the regular season, they averaged 437 yards of total offense. And in the regular season, Clemson gave up an average of 308 yards per game. So they actually held Iowa State not only under their total for the regular season, but Clemson held Iowa State under the average that Clemson gave up per game during the regular season, which goes back to my video I made a few weeks back where I said Clemson will be just fine. And Wes Goodwin, to me, looks like he's ready to step right in and take the place of Brent Venables. He even had some of the gyrational stuff going on the sidelines that Brent Venables always had. And Iowa State only scored 13 points, and they scored 33 points per game during the regular season, so they were way under their season total. And a lot of Clemson fans are excited about Cade Klubnik coming in, and I will say that I think he's going to be great, but right now he's about 190 pounds, and that might be me being kind. I mean, he's small. And if you look at Dabo's track record, Dabo generally doesn't play quarterbacks that are that small. So I will say if Cade Klubnik enrolls early and puts on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle before next season, it wouldn't surprise me if he outdoes DJ all through spring and all through summer and is the starter. But at the size he is right now, I just don't see it happening. That's just my prediction. I don't know that. I just don't see it. But whether he puts on weight or not and enrolls early or not, it doesn't matter. If he's as good as advertised and DJ doesn't make any progress by next year, by I'll say week 4 or 5, Dabo's proven before he'll make a change in the middle of the regular season. But I just think right now Cade is too small to be ready to step in there and take over in game 1. But that's just my prediction. And they did make it official after the game last night. Robbie Caldwell has retired from on-the-field coaching, and former Clemson offensive lineman Thomas Austin will now be the new offensive line coach. That's been a rumor going around since before the season started. I even mentioned it on the channel here about 3 weeks ago, but it's actually official now. Dabo made it official after the game last night. So congratulations to Clemson for winning 10 games for 11 straight seasons. They'll open the 2022 season against Georgia Tech on Monday. I believe it's the 5th of September, which of course will be Labor Day. There's always a college football game on Labor Day night. Any thoughts on the college basketball top 10 poll or the Cheez-it Bowl? Please feel free to let me know. Oklahoma finished out their season by looking pretty impressive last night against Oregon. It's amazing that Bob Stoops retired, and a lot of people thought that he retired too soon because he was still fairly young when he retired, and a lot of people thought that he would eventually, come back and coach somebody else. But he's just shown no signs of wanting to get back into college football head coaching. But he coached Oklahoma last night, and their offense looked the best it's looked all year long. But if you're a longtime football fan, you may remember when Barry Sanders retired, he wasn't quite 30 years old. And for about 5 years, everybody swore up and down that Barry Sanders was making a comeback. He just retired because he got tired of playing for Detroit since Detroit sucked. And after about 5 years of Barry Sanders just showing no hints of making a comeback, people finally realized he was retired. Well, that's kind of how it's been with Bob Stoops. Bob Stoops just out of the blue retired. It wasn't rumored. It wasn't talked about. There was no health issues. There was no off-the-field issues. There was no personal problems. He just decided he wanted to retire for whatever reason. I don't know if he ever actually came out and gave a legit reason why he retired. So for the longest time, people thought he was going to make a comeback, and he's just seems like he's happy being retired. But like I said, give him props because Oklahoma's offense looked the best it's looked all year long last night. Of course, there's a couple more bowl games coming up today, and tomorrow I'll be giving out my predictions for the college football playoff games that are coming up tomorrow. Any thoughts on those, please feel free to let me know. I know my man Chris already got on the comment section and gave me his score prediction for both games. So if you would like to do that, please feel free to do that. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. I told my doctor I heard buzzing, but he said it's just a bug going around. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.